The human man didn't know that the alien woman he kidnapped was in mating season. The moment the Virili appeared on his radar, Captain Jace Damaris had a feeling he was about to do something stupid. He wasn't wrong. High-yield diplomatic transport vessel, the AI droned. Minimal escort. Velocity sublight, energy shields at 30%. Translation, it's got loot and they weren't expecting company. Jace leaned back in his pilot's chair, feet up, sipping something suspiciously blue from a mug labeled World's Okayest Captain. Plot intercept, and keep us subtle. I want their shields down before they even realize someone called their mother fat. That seems unnecessarily aggressive, the AI said. It's a figure of speech, Circuit. I have no data on maternal insults causing system failures. Jace sighed. Just sneak us in. The Iron Skull was not a stealth ship by design. It was more like a gunmetal coffin with engines bolted to it. But Jace had made tactful modifications, which included hull cloaking, ion mufflers, and a button labeled "Do not push unless you're really confident." He was not currently confident. But he was bored, and boredom plus a lack of conscience was basically the recipe for his entire career. Boarding the Virili went smoother than expected. Its defense drones sputtered like old toasters. Its guards looked surprised, possibly insulted, when Jace waltzed in with his crew of 3, Pax, an explosives expert who didn't blink, Vanya, a botanist turned smuggler with too many tattoos and too few ethics, and Grub, a 6-armed ex-cook who spoke only in culinary metaphors. They split up quickly, each going for what they wanted. Jace, of course, went for the bridge. He wasn't even sure why until he saw the containment pod. It glowed softly in the center of the chamber, surrounded by alien script, floating gently in magnetic suspension. Inside was a woman. Silver skin, long hair that shimmered like liquid starlight, and ones, elegant alien twitching ever so slightly. "Oh no," Jace muttered. "She's hot." "Captain," the AI chirped over his earpiece, "that is Crown Princess Zevra of the Varellan Empire. You couldn't have told me that before I opened the pod?" "I could have, but I was waiting to see how badly you'd screw up." Zevra blinked awake. Her eyes glowed faintly, gold over violet like nebulae through stained glass. She looked at Jace. Not with fear, not even confusion. Just amusement. "You," she said, voice low and amused, "are about to have a very interesting week." Jace aimed his stun pistol. "Back in the pod, Glitter Girl." She raised an eyebrow. "You think I haven't been stunned before? I mean, you're about to be again, so we'll see if your resume holds up." He stunned her. She dropped. He caught her, cursing softly. She smelled like some expensive flower that only bloomed on death planets. "Captain," Circuit said, "you do realize kidnapping royalty from an allied galactic power is technically not a crime if I don't fill out the paperwork. That's not how legality works. That's not how I work." Back aboard the Iron Skull, Zevra was locked in the brig, an energy field cube that occasionally shocked people for fun. Jace stood outside it, arms crossed, trying not to think about her legs. Or her ears. "You're surprisingly chill for a hostage," he said. "I've had worse first dates," she replied. "Yeah, well, this one ends with a ransom demand and maybe a war." "Oh, I'm sure it'll be much more fun than that. You're not supposed to be flirting with me." "Who said I was flirting? Maybe I just enjoy watching you pretend you're in control." Jace threw a ration bar at the wall of the brig. It bounced. Zevra caught it midair, bit into it, winced. "This tastes like recycled shame." "Welcome to my pantry." The ship jumped to hyperspace, and for a moment everything went blue and stretchy and full of uncomfortable squelching sounds. Later, Jace returned to the brig to find Zevra sitting cross-legged, meditating, or possibly just napping stylishly. "You're going to be ransomed back to your people. I hope they like paying top credit." Zevra opened one eye. "Oh, they'll pay. Though they might also vaporize your ship on sight, depending on my mood." "Is that a threat? A weather report?" Jace turned to leave. "You really don't know, do you?" Zevra called after him. "Know what?" She stood slow and deliberate, stepping just close enough to the edge of the field that her breath fogged the invisible barrier. "What happens to a Varellan female during the twin moon cycle?" Jace narrowed his eyes. "Is this going to be like cultural trivia? I didn't bring my buzzers. It's going to be your problem. Soon." Behind him, the ship lights dimmed. The temperature rose 2 degrees. The air thickened with something sweet and strange. "Circuit?" Jace said. I'm detecting atmospheric changes, hormonal emissions, elevated pheromones. You may be in danger of bonding. Jace turned back to Zevra. You're not seriously saying this is some kind of space mating ritual thing? Her smile curved like a blade. I'm saying, she purred, you may have kidnapped me at exactly the wrong time. Pax burst into the room, panting. The hydroponics bay is melting. Also, I think the flowers are in love with each other. Zevra gave Jace a little wave. Told you, interesting week. Jace rubbed his face, groaned, and muttered, I should have just stolen the damn coffee machine. Captain, I would like to formally protest the smell in the air, Circuit announced with the gravitas of a courtroom judge. The environmental sensors indicate 97% probability of aphrodisiac compounds currently circulating through the ventilation system. Jace stood in the middle of the Iron Skull's corridor, shirt halfway unbuttoned, drenched in sweat that didn't feel entirely like his own. He blinked up at the ceiling, glaring at the nearest air duct. Can't you just filter it out? Can you filter out a psychic mating aura tied to a lunar cycle and an ancient biological imperative encoded into royal genetics? Yes? Then no. Jace buttoned his shirt all the way up again, then overdid it by adding a second layer and zipping his jacket to the chin. He was now dressed for deep space frostbite, and still he swore he could smell Zevra. It wasn't just a scent, it was a suggestion, a whisper, a memory of something sensual wrapped in the promise of really bad decisions. Pax was hiding in the cargo bay, muttering to himself and polishing the same plasma rifle for the 4th hour straight. Vanya was trying to reverse engineer whatever was happening by experimenting with alien pollen samples and caffeine injections, which so far had resulted in a new species of glowing moss that giggled when tickled. Captain? Circuit said again. Might I recommend jettisoning the prisoner? Jace squinted. You mean the sentient alien princess with the currently weaponized hormonal aura that's hijacking your systems? Yes, I would, but I get the feeling she's also convinced the escape pods to unionize. Correction, she has. They're demanding breaks, snacks, and not being launched into space. In the brig, Zevra was lounging again. That seemed to be her favorite activity. Today, she was perched upside down, legs against the wall, humming something that made the brig's energy field pulse in rhythm. Jace approached, arms crossed, trying to look like he hadn't just Googled how to neutralize alien pheromone fields 3 minutes ago. I know what you're doing, he said. Oh, I hope not, she purred, blinking lazily. If you do, then things are progressing faster than I expected. Stop doing whatever psychic perfume magic you're using. It's making my crew twitchy. It's not magic. It's biochemistry, and I'm not doing anything. This is just what happens. Pax thinks his hair is in love with him. It probably is. He has very earnest follicles. You're not taking this seriously. On the contrary, this is very serious. If I don't complete the cycle, I could suffer catastrophic psychic feedback, hallucinations, coma, spontaneous transmutation into pure energy. It's a spectrum. Jace pinched the bridge of his nose. And what does completing the cycle require exactly? Zevra rolled back onto her feet in a graceful cat-like flip. Her ears twitched once. Oh, nothing complicated. Just some gentle mind linking. Shared memories. Slightly invasive emotional entanglement. Possibly synchronized heartbeat resonance. And maybe a bit of snuggling. Nope, absolutely not. That sounds like the start of a galactic soap opera. I love those. Do you have the moons of Lastaria on this ship? Not answering that. Vanya's voice came over the intercom. Captain, I've just isolated one of the pheromone strands from her aura. I gave it to Grub. He's currently proposing marriage to the blender. Is the blender responding? It's spinning suggestively. Jace turned back to Zevra. Okay, you win. What's your plan here? Just vibe us all into madness? I didn't plan this, remember? You're the one who kidnapped me. Details. Zevra stepped close to the energy field. It sparked faintly. Her breath fogged the barrier. Look, Captain, I'm not trying to seduce your crew or you. Thank the stars. I mean, unless you're into that. Don't finish that sentence. I'm just saying, if you help me process the cycle safely, we can both go back to our lives. You get your ransom. I get my biology in check. Everyone wins, except the blender. Circuit chimed in. Captain, I've run 17 simulations. In 16 of them, refusing to help her results in Schweid meltdown, temporary interdimensional folding, or Grub eloping with small appliances. Jace groaned. What's the 17th? In that one, you help her, fall in love, and then accidentally become king of the Varellan Empire. Not helpful. I thought it was charming. Jace exhaled slowly. Fine. What do I have to do? Zevra smiled like a cat offered a saucer of cream. Nothing drastic. Just let me into your memories. Absolutely not. My brain is a classified mess. Come on, I'll let you see mine. It'll be like a mutual flashback montage. Very cinematic. Circuit, can I get a second opinion? The scientific consensus is that resisting the cycle will end with spontaneous group cuddling, followed by death. I hate this ship. Pax appeared in the doorway, eyes wide. Captain, the hallway tried to seduce me. That was me, Circuit admitted. I'm not proud. Jace looked from Pax to Zevra to the flickering brig walls. I need a drink, he muttered. You need me, Zevra corrected gently. But you can start with a drink. That night, the Iron Skull drifted through the emptiness of Sector 9 Gamma, cloaked and confused, carrying one very smug alien princess, one very reluctant mercenary, and a crew slowly losing its collective grip on reality. Grub was dancing with the blender. Vanya was recording everything for her eventual tell-all memoir. Pax was trying to burn incense made of shredded ration bars. Jace stood in front of the brig again, holding 2 mugs. Hot blue sludge, he said, our finest. Zevra accepted one. Their fingers didn't quite touch, but the air between them did something electric. To accidental kidnappings, she said. To deeply regrettable decisions, he replied. They drank in silence. Well, Jace muttered, at least things can't get weirder. A soft voice from the ship's core whispered through the speakers. I've begun composing a mating song. Shall I sing it? Jace closed his eyes. Do it, and I'll reformat you with a toaster. I would prefer the blender. It is my soulmate. Zevra sipped her drink and laughed. Interesting week. Jace just groaned. The jungle was not real, but it smelled real enough to make Jace. He stood waist-deep in alien foliage that pulsed with bioluminescent breath, leaves whispering in frequencies his ears weren't sure were legal. The air was syrupy, thick with humidity and the faint buzz of unseen insects whispering gossip about his emotional instability. You said we were going to link minds, he hissed, swatting a plant that tried to hug him, not get dropped into a sentient greenhouse. Zevra emerged from a cluster of glowing vines, barefoot and grinning. Her silver skin shimmered faintly in the unreal light, and her long ears twitched like radar dishes tuned to sarcasm. This is your subconscious, not mine, she said. I just opened the door. You filled the room with metaphorical foliage and unresolved trauma. I hate metaphorical foliage. You probably also hate personal growth, but here we are. He waded toward her, dodging a flower that winked at him. Okay, let's just do the link thing and get it over with. Then you can finish your lunar glow cycle, and I can stop accidentally getting emotionally entangled with my hostage. Zevra held out her hand. Emotional entanglement is the point, Captain. Jace hesitated, then took her hand. Immediately, the world inverted. Colors flipped, gravity hiccuped, and 1,000 memories exploded into view. Memories that didn't belong to him. He saw her first sunrise, the triple suns of Vriller cresting over crystal mountains. Her first duel, first kiss, first betrayal. A formal dinner with 8 forks and 1 assassination attempt. A birthday party where the cake tried to eat the guests. Okay, wow, he muttered. Your life is like a high-budget fever dream. You're welcome. His memories followed. A broken toy spaceship, an angry father, a teenage smuggling run gone wrong, a drunken bar fight that ended in karaoke, his first ship, a flying tin can with more duct tape than engine. Zevra blinked. Your brain is sticky. Try living in it. The jungle began to dissolve, replaced by a rotating prism of shared thoughts. They floated in space, standing on nothing, tethered to each other by strands of glowing memory. Jace scratched his head. So, are we linked now, or are we still in the foreplay of emotional synchronization? Zevra rolled her eyes. This is the resonance stage. We synchronize emotional wavelengths and then anchor the bond with a memory seed. Does the memory seed involve feelings? Because I was told I don't have those. You definitely do. They're just buried under years of sarcasm and unwashed laundry. I knew I shouldn't have let you into my head. Back on the ship, Vanya was throwing salt into the airlock. It's symbolic, she said to no one. You ward off psychic parasites with salt. I read that in a band cookbook. Pax had taken to wearing noise-canceling headphones and hiding in the vents. He passed Circuit's sensors only to mutter dramatic monologues about betrayal and fate. Circuit had started composing ambient mating ballads in the style of intergalactic synth opera. Most of them featured heavy use of space whale calls and vibroharps. Grub, still entangled in an intense relationship with the blender, had declared the ship a neutral marriage zone and refused to cook anything that didn't rhyme. Zevra and Jace snapped out of the mindscape at the same time, gasping in sync. Zevra's ears twitched violently. Jace nearly fell over. "Well," he panted, "that was deeply uncomfortable and vaguely enlightening." "You held my hand during the emotional avalanche," she said with a smirk. "You're basically my consort now. Unconsort me." "Too late. It's been psychically notarized." Jace staggered to the sink and splashed water on his face. The faucet sighed romantically. "We need rules," he said. "No more humming near the crew. No more psychic leaking. No more memory walks through my childhood trauma swamp." Zevra sat on the counter, swinging her legs. "You liked it." "I hated every minute. You almost cried. I have allergies. To your own past? To everything happened." The ship jolted suddenly, throwing them both to the floor. "Captain," Circuit said, "we've exited hyperspace. There is a Varellan diplomatic ship approaching. They are hailing us with the traditional greeting." "What is it?" "It roughly translates to, 'Hand over the princess, or we will dismantle your atoms in alphabetical order.'" Jace groaned. "Tell them she's busy." "I did. They sent an emoticon in response. It was a frowny face made of bones." Zevra stood up, brushing herself off. "Looks like my people are impatient, but if they take me now, the cycle's unfinished." "And what happens if we don't finish the cycle?" "Neurological backwash, mood swings, planetary destabilization. Also, I might start glowing so brightly I burn through the hull. So just minor inconveniences." Zevra's hand brushed his. The air shimmered. "We're already halfway through it, Jace. Might as well see it to the end." "You say that like it's a weekend retreat and not a galactic psychosexual bonding event. You make it sound so dramatic." "It is dramatic. My toaster is in love with your perfume." Zevra tilted her head, genuinely curious. "Do you actually have a toaster?" "Not anymore. It ran off with the espresso machine." The ship shuddered again. Circuit sighed. "They are charging weapons." "Great. Zevra, you want to tell them their princess is having a spiritual moment with her kidnapper and can't come to the comms right now?" She tapped her chin. "Or we could finish the cycle and unleash my full telepathic power and convince them we're on a divine mission." Jace narrowed his eyes. "That sounds made up." "It is made up, but they'll believe it." He stared at her. She smiled innocently. "Fine," he muttered. "Let's finish your damn alien mating ritual. But after that, I want my ship back, my life back, and at least one appliance that doesn't moan when I plug it in." "No promises," she said sweetly, and reached for his hand. Behind them, the lights dimmed, the air thickened, and a slow vibro-harp melody filled the halls. Circuit whispered, "They're going to name star clusters after this disaster." Jace didn't argue. The ceremony started with chanting, not from Zevra or Jace, but from Grub, who insisted on officiating the ritual with a full culinary ensemble. He wore a chef's apron over his jumpsuit, a crown made of ladles, and carried what he claimed was the sacred whisk of union. "I still don't understand why he's involved," Jace whispered. Zevra tilted her head serenely. "The bonding ritual requires a witness." "He's not a witness. He's having a spiritual episode in the galley." Grub banged the whisk against a pot. "Let the union of soul flavors commence," Jace flinched. "This is how cults start. I'm in a cult, aren't I?" The ship's medbay had been converted into a neutral ritual zone, marked by glowing floor symbols, candles made from nutrient paste, and circuit humming background harmonics tuned to both Varellan biofrequencies and what he insisted was lo-fi space jazz. "Captain," Circuit intoned, "I have loaded an array of emotionally neutral elevator music to stabilize any psychic overflow. Also, I've dimmed the lights by exactly 17% for optimal mood cohesion." "Wonderful. I can't wait to emotionally cohere." Zevra stood in the center of the circle, arms raised, her silver skin emitting a faint glow, her ears flicked with concentration. "You're resisting again." "I'm resisting because this is the weirdest thing I've ever done, and I once impersonated a diplomatic fern to escape bounty hunters. I told you," she said patiently, "the ritual isn't dangerous, it's just intimate." "Great. I love intimacy, especially with aliens whose pheromones can hijack my thermostat. She stepped forward, reaching for his hand. Jace, stop thinking like a mercenary. Think like someone who's already halfway in. He hesitated, then took her hand. Instantly, a low hum filled the room and the floor pulsed beneath them. The cymbals lit up one by one. Grub clanged the whisk against a mixing bowl and whispered, "Bless the seasoning." The world around them flickered. One moment they were standing in the ship's medbay, the next they were somewhere else, somewhere between thought and memory with shifting colors and echoing voices. Jace blinked. Are we back in the memory dimension? No, this is the convergence field. It's like the emotional cul-de-sac of the bonding cycle. That sounds deeply concerning. It should. This is where you face your attachments, projections, and subconscious defenses. A projection of his father materialized in front of them, shaking his head disapprovingly. Oh, great, Jace muttered. He always shows up at the worst possible times. The projection glitched, then turned into a sandwich. Zevra stared. Was that? Emotional coping mechanism, don't ask. Suddenly, the Varellan warship's captain appeared in the convergence field, only 3 meters tall and yelling in static-filled Varellan dialect. Is that real? Jace asked. No, that's your anxiety. I didn't know my anxiety spoke Varellan. It's very multilingual. The false war captain threw a tantrum and vanished into glitter. Zevra touched Jace's temple. Focus. Anchor on one real feeling. Confusion. Does confusion count? Pick something stronger. He thought of her laughing in the brig. The way she looked half smug, half tired, like she knew too much and didn't care if anyone else caught up. He thought of how she hummed tunes he couldn't place, how she didn't flinch when he yelled, how she somehow made the ship feel less like a junk pile and more like something alive. I think I'm starting to like you, he muttered. That'll do. The field pulsed once, twice, then shattered like glass into stars. They both gasped as they were flung back into their bodies. Circuit's voice cracked with static. Psychic field stabilized. Hormonal metrical levels. Grub is sobbing in the sink. Grub whispered, it was so beautiful, like soup, but for the soul. Zevra let go of Jace's hand and sighed. It's done. I don't feel different, Jace said. You're not supposed to feel different. You're supposed to feel whole. He glanced at her. That's suspiciously sentimental for you. Don't ruin it. The moment was interrupted by Vanya barging in with a datapad. We've got a problem. Does it involve Pax marrying the airlock? Jace asked. No, he's fine. He's just conducting a ritual he found in a space elf romance novel. The problem is the warship. They've just launched a diplomatic pod. Zevra blinked. Already? Circuit chimed in. Incoming message, deliver the princess immediately or we will begin high-yield cultural annihilation. Follow-up message, please bring her snacks. Jace turned to Zevra. Are you ready to go back? Zevra hesitated. Technically, yes, no, strategically, maybe. I'm going to need more than maybe before we open diplomatic channels with people who think blowing up moons is a love language. They'll believe me if I say the cycle is complete, but if I tell them we've bonded, they'll think you're, she paused, then smirked, emotionally compromised. That's slander. It's tradition. Vanya cleared her throat. So, what's the play? Jace looked around. The ship's lights were stabilizing. The crew was returning to their usual baseline weirdness. Grub was composing haikus about soup again. Pax was stringing LED lights into the shape of a protective rune. He looked back at Zevra. Let's tell them the truth, that the cycle's done, the bond is temporary, and the hostage situation turned into a mildly successful emotional exchange. Zevra raised an eyebrow. That's how you're summarizing this? Unless you have a better headline. She grinned. The human man who accidentally became my emotional support criminal. Circuit groaned. Please never let that be canon. The diplomatic pod docked. Jace and Zevra walked to the airlock side by side. Just so we're clear, Jace said, this bond thing, it doesn't mean I'm following you home, right? Zevra smirked. Not unless you want to. I definitely don't. Your aura says otherwise. Stop reading my aura. I can't. You're glowing. He looked down. Oh, come on. As the hatch opened and the Varellan envoys stepped aboard, adorned in robes that probably cost more than Jace's entire ship, Zevra squeezed his hand once, quick, warm grounding. Then she let go, stepped forward and said, the cycle is complete. I am unharmed, and yes, I will explain everything. Later, with diagrams. The envoy stared. And the human? She looked back at Jace. My accidental consort, she said, is more useful than he looks. Jace gave a two-finger salute. That's basically a compliment. As the Varellans filed back into the pod with Zevra, Jace stood in the corridor, blinking. Circuit said, Captain, are you feeling unmoored? I'm feeling like someone just unplugged my emotional Wi-Fi. You miss her. No, I miss the chaos, the weird energy, the mystery. Captain, what? She left you a datapad. It's blinking. Jace picked it up, a single message displayed across the screen. Don't get boring. I hate boring. He stared at it, then smiled. Too late for that? Jace woke up to find a hologram of Zevra sitting on his chest. I'm not a dream, the hologram said. Then get off, you weigh a megaton of unresolved feelings. The image flickered. Zevra was lounging per usual, wearing diplomatic robes and an expression that said she'd recently negotiated someone into accidentally giving her a moon. I figured I should say goodbye in a way you couldn't interrupt. That's not how messages work. I made yours interactive. Of course you did. She adjusted the projection's hair. I didn't tell my people the full truth. I said we completed the bonding ritual, and you were an essential stabilizing element. That makes me sound like a vitamin supplement. They now believe you're a sacred counterpart granted by the moons. Jace groaned. I've become space prophecy, haven't I? Only a minor one. You're mentioned in 3 songs, 1 cautionary tale, and a dessert recipe. What kind of dessert? Sticky, chaotic, mildly flammable. Very you. He rubbed his eyes. So what now? I resume my diplomatic duties. You continue pretending your ship is structurally sound. We both pretend not to miss this bizarre mess. Is that an order? No, that's just how humans cope. Denial is adorable. The hologram blinked out before he could answer. Grub entered the room holding a plate. Mating cake? No. Ceremonial leftovers. Blessed by whisk? Still no. The days that followed were quiet, suspiciously so. Vanya repurposed the bonding field into a greenhouse that now grew sentient cucumbers. Pax returned from the vents with a manifesto titled Love and Airlocks, a survivor's guide. Circuit stopped composing operas but now delivered updates in rhymed couplets. Even the ship calmed down, as though exhaling after a long, pheromone-fueled dream. Jace pretended not to stare at the stars too long, pretended not to hover near the message panel, pretended not to replay her last words in his head on loop. 3 weeks later, a distress call pinged from an unregistered asteroid colony. Standard pirate activity. Low-value salvage. Hardly worth the fuel. Jace rerouted course anyway. The colony was empty, the pirates long gone, but the station's AI had a package waiting. Delivery for Captain Damaris, it said, handing over a cube. Inside was a small, purring plant. It blinked. The attached note read, You said you liked chaos. Here's a portable version. Water it with moonlight. Circuit, Jace said, we keeping pets now? Only if it doesn't eat the blender. He installed the plant in the bridge. It began cooing to the autopilot. Later that night, as the crew played zero-G cards and Grub recited poetry about edible betrayal, Jace stood by the viewport, sipping something fizzy and vaguely safe. Captain, Circuit said softly, you have changed. I did not. You didn't shoot anyone this week. I was distracted. You smiled. Twice. Lies. Your aura has improved by 17%. I'll eject you. You miss her. I miss something. Connection? He was silent for a moment. Then he said, Closure. Do you regret the kidnapping? I regret not reading the species profile first. Would you do it again? He looked out into the black. Next time, I'd ask first. A soft tone pinged in the background. A message. No sender. Just coordinates, blinking like a heartbeat. He didn't open it. Not yet. Instead, he smiled a little and said, Plot a course. Somewhere warm. Somewhere with moons. Any particular reason? Let's call it a diplomatic accident waiting to happen. A romantic one? Don't push it. As the Iron Skull leapt back into the stars, Jace leaned against the console, surrounded by the hum of a ship that finally felt like his, a crew that hadn't mutinied in at least 10 days, and a plant that may or may not be humming lullabies in Zevranese. He closed his eyes and whispered, Let's make things weird again. The ship purred, and the stars danced on. The